All right, guys, this will be the week 2 Intel video. So getting into the waiver pickups here, I think Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard, and Tez Johnson will have increased opportunities with the injuries to the Buccaneers receiving core. So I don't think any of those guys are necessarily going to be super explosive this week, but I think they could definitely fill in for buys or injuries. Bam Knight also looks like he is leading the workload, not by much over Michael Carter, but significant enough to where he probably should be added to a team. And then Tyjae Spears, he got a lot of work when the Titans were down. So if the Titans continue to be down in most of their games, which they should be, he definitely could have a solid PPR floor there. Just some guys that I think benefited from opportunities. First one, Kendrick Bourne, with all of the 49ers receiver injuries, had another 20-point game. Michael Mayer with Brock Bowers out had a very solid performance, and it looks like, at least for both of those situations, it looks like the majority of the guys that missed will miss again. Pretty much all the 49ers receivers are 50-50 to go next week, and it looks like Brock Bowers is going to miss next week as well. So both very solid streaming options there. And then Kayshon Boutte, he not necessarily took advantage of other injuries on the team, but Stephon Diggs got called for 2 offensive pass interferences, which cost him about 60 yards individually. But Kayshon Boutte was able to capitalize on these for 2 long touchdowns. So a couple other guys that benefited from opportunities were Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. He got 2 touchdowns yesterday, but Rashee Rice coming back, and they said it was his first 2-touchdown game in 4 years. So he's still just a streaming option. And then Dawson Knox, it's only the first quarter in the Falcons game right now, but he already caught a touchdown with Dalton Kincaid missing the game. So the only trade away candidate I have is Brian Thomas Jr. Before I discuss him, I just wanted to make a quick note on trades. It's around the time now where you want to start looking at positioning your team to have good playoff schedules, or at least as much as possible. You don't want to tear down your roster just for that. But here with Cal, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that Cal doesn't necessarily need, and his team's in a very good spot right now to make the playoffs. So you look at his schedule, he's going to have Sauce Gardner shadowing him in week 1 of the playoffs. He's going to have Pat Surtain shadowing him in week 2 of the playoffs. So it's highly unrealistic that Cal's going to be starting him, especially with the depth that Cal has. So if he can maybe trade Brian Thomas Jr.'s productive rest of the regular season, most likely to a team that really needs him to produce, I think that could be at least an avenue for Cal to look at. But that's the only real strong trade candidate I have right now. But something else I wanted to add, there's only going to be a few more Intel videos, so just going to get any other fantasy advice that I think is relevant for just long-term fantasy football. But when I'm looking at kickers, especially streaming kickers, I look for kickers that have defensive head coaches and preferably kick in domes. But the reason I go for defensive head coached kickers is because I feel like those coaches value points a lot more, and they are less likely to go for it in 4th and just go and take the points for the field goal. So just thought that was an interesting piece of advice. But the weekly recap for week 6 will be out on Wednesday, and then the power rankings will be out on Friday. So that's all I have. Thank you, guys.